Hello everyone, and welcome back to Time to Cook. And today we're just looking at a crazy handful of nothing. Now let's have a shitty segue into talking about this episode's plot. This plot follows Walter White now going through the chemo treatments, now which are starting to weigh heavy on him, and I'm just gonna say it right now, this is the episode where Walter White becomes Heisenberg. Not from him starting to call himself that, which he does start calling himself Heisenberg in this episode, but his actions are much more different than what the Walter White of the first maybe 4 episodes would have done. Walter is essentially turned into Heisenberg. And we'll probably see even more of a progression later in seasons 2, 3, 4, and 5, of course. But this is the effective final switch over to Heisenberg. Anyway, so this episode also has Walter shave his head. So he's now bald. Anyway, so in this episode, Walter and Jesse start to cook again. And when they cook a full pound of meth, Walter employs Jesse to start selling it. But when Jesse comes up short-handed, only having $2,600, Walter becomes annoyed. But Jesse tells him, it plain and simple, that he can't go around and sell the full pound on his own, which leads Walter to get the idea that they need a distributor. But of course Jesse replies that, well, him and Walt killed the only distributor. But then Walt leads Walt to ask Jesse, did anyone replace Crazy 8? Which, that was the guy Walt had to strangle to death in Jesse's basement. And Jesse says that there is one guy, by a man going by the name of Tuco, which, according to one of Jesse's former friends, Skinny Pete, manages to get him an in to meet Tuco to see if he'll become a distributor. Now, Tuco does agree, but Jesse isn't paid up front, which is what he wanted, so Tuco decides to pay him up front by knocking his fucking lights out, which leaves Jesse hospitalized, and Walter decides to go in and talk to Tuco himself, as his new alias, Heisenberg. And note, this is the episode where, I don't know if it's a full meme, but the famous, "This is not meth." This is the episode where that comes from. Where Walter throws, I think, it wasn't crystallized mercury, it was mercury, but on the ground, and it fucking explodes. And it's glorious, And this episode definitely does pick up the pace that was certainly lacking in the previous 2 episodes. And overall, man, this episode's just great. I didn't really have much of a problem with this episode. It's just fun. But some other notable things that happen in this episode is that Hank decides to talk to Walt about, about the people who cooked meth out in the desert, which was obviously Walt and Jesse, because Hank found some evidence of the gas mask, which belongs to the school, out in the desert. And Walter comes up with a decent excuse, which leads Hank to go after the janitor of the school and get him arrested instead. So Hank still doesn't know a fucking thing, but he might figure it out later. Who knows? But yeah, I don't really have a problem with A Crazy Handful of Nothing. It's got great acting, some legit great moments, but I think the highlight of the episode is probably the last 15, maybe 10-15 minutes of Walter finally becoming Heisenberg. God. it's so good, man. So far out of the 6 episodes, I'm giving Crazy Handful of Nothing a full 9 out of 10. And the only reason it isn't a full 10 out of 10 is probably because, I'll be honest, it's kind of because nothing really happens in the first half of this episode. Again, I should preference that this episode starts to pick up the pace. It does have a pace issue for like maybe the first half, where it is again a bit slow in the first half, which is why again it's a 9 out of 10. But anyway, tomorrow we'll be wrapping up season 1 with what's the next episode titled? Oh yeah, a no rough stuff type deal, which will be the finale of season 1. So yeah, I'll see you when we wrap up season 1 of Breaking Bad next time on Time to Cook. I'll see you then.